Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The O Show. Generally, when I do interviews, we do a 10-minute spotlight where I give my guest 10 minutes to answer all of my questions. But this particular guest, I need more than 10 minutes of his time. I have Amin from AVALANCHE. How are you doing today, Amin?
Awesome. Very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys, as you know, AVALANCHE is absolutely taking off. We've been talking about it a lot on the show, and I was lucky enough to get Amin on here to answer some of my questions. Are you ready for the questions, sir?
Of course I am. That was a very nice way of saying how long-winded I normally am. I'll try to keep my answers short.
That was not an attack, sir. That was not an attack. I know but that's how we do. We like try to keep them 10 minutes, but I actually have a lot of questions. So really quickly, just give everybody like a 1-minute summary of who you are, just so they know.
Sure. I used to be a professor at Cornell University. I am currently the CEO of AVALabs. I am the person who organized the big effort to build the Avalanche network and launched it. And the system is now its own decentralized self with a life of its own. I am now a fiddle player on the side, if you will, but I do have some say in the ecosystem, and I try to organize people who are building new things on top of Avalanche.
Outstanding. So let's first talk about what AVALANCHE's biggest strength is.
Sure. Avalanche is simply the biggest, most innovative new blockchain platform that offers the best in performance and flexibility to people who want to build blockchain solutions. So the thing that's powering Avalanche, the big technical improvement behind it, is the biggest thing that happened in my area of expertise, known as distributed systems, in the last 10 years. So since the Satoshi white paper, it is literally the biggest, most significant scientific advance that allows our system to make decisions much faster in a much more open, inclusive way than everybody else. So that is the big impetus for the thing that got this whole network started. And in addition to that, we've built a system that is accommodating, that is flexible, that can have multiple chains inside, that can accommodate multiple blockchains inside for different uses. And that has allowed us to build something that accommodates DeFi, NFTs, also payments and cheap remittances and many other use cases. So that's what all the buzz is about. That's what all the excitement's about.
So on my channel, we advocate a lot for paying attention to projects that are direct competitors of Ethereum, because without positive competition, you kind of stay stagnant. And I definitely think that Avalanche is doing that. But I know that Ethereum is currently proof of work. They want to merge over to proof of stake. But I've heard that Avalanche is considered eco-friendly. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. But before I do that, let me just say a word about Ethereum. I happen to love Ethereum. And I'm very good friends with Vitalik ever since, whenever it was when I first met him many, many years ago. And I played a fairly, I would say fairly significant role in Ethereum's growing up phases. I was the person who called the DAO hack before it happened. And there were a bunch of other things that I did for that ecosystem. So I don't see Avalanche as a competitor to Ethereum. I think there's going to be a ginormous universe with lots and lots of different chains playing different roles. And Ethereum will do its thing, and it's actually doing a fantastic job on its current path. Avalanche is bringing a new technology to bear. It's bringing a new consensus protocol, like you mentioned, that is fast and also green and sustainable. So you asked about that part, so let me answer that. Ethereum, like Bitcoin, is essentially a first-generation platform. It uses for its consensus mechanism, this thing that allows it to take decisions and record them on the blockchain. It uses these specialized, what we call mining rigs and miners, these dedicated people with lots and lots of machines that are all trying to add blocks to the end of a blockchain. That's what they're trying to do. And that process is incredibly consumptive of electricity. So about 1 to 2% of world's electricity consumption goes into cryptocurrency mining right now. That's a lot. If people want to visualize, that's about 4 nuclear power plants worth of electricity going into cryptocurrency mining. We can do other things with that. And in some cases, these are not even renewable sources of energy. In some cases, we're just burning down coal, we're warming up the planet, we're contributing to environmental disasters. In contrast, Avalanche uses what's known as a proof of stake protocol, in a protocol that is very, very efficient at proof of stake. So what that means is to participate in Avalanche, you do not need to have ginormous mining rigs. Anybody can participate in the system. Avalanche is also unique in the sense that it can accommodate large numbers of participants. There are other proof of stake protocols out there. There are many of them actually, but they're limited in how many people they can accommodate. They typically are capped at about 100 to 200 participants per decision. So what that means is, yeah, you can perhaps join those systems, but your voice is not really heard. You're not really participating in decisions. And in fact, what they tend to turn into are inwards facing closed cabals. Some number of people get in and they keep other people out. Case in point, one of the other systems that's been proposed was Facebook's Libra system. Now it's called Diem. And it was designed to accommodate about 100 players, about 100 block producers. In contrast, Avalanche has been designed from the ground up to be inclusive. It can have millions of participants who are producing blocks and involved in every single decision. So this is something that gives me great pride, because we're not, while we do our things that we want to do, create NFTs, sell them around, etc., and trade them, or create new digital assets and trade those, open up this world of DeFi to the entire world, we're not simultaneously destroying our future.
Got it. And I think that that's important because there is a very big debate about being eco-friendly and being non-eco-friendly. But the DeFi space has come under a lot of controversy as of late. What do you think DeFi as a whole can do better?
I think the number one thing that DeFi needs to do is be inclusive. I think a lot of people were cut out of the DeFi revolution. It is nothing short of life-changing for many people. But who have, whose lives have been changed? It's been the first world folks. And if I actually look around and as I traveled and talk about Avalanche and so forth, I noticed that there is great pent-up demand, but the fees have been keeping people out. And if I look carefully at what's happening on Ethereum, Ethereum has become a chain for bots. The people who are most effectively taking part in DeFi are people who have written robots, scripts to participate, and who, with the help of those robots, have amassed enormous stashes of coin. And they're spending those coins to actually participate and make even more. And there's this rich get richer kind of a dynamic with the current DeFi ecosystem. What I think must happen for DeFi to get to the next level is the fees need to come down. And there's only one way of making the fees go down. It's a very simple way. There's only one way. And that is build systems that can absorb and support the amount of scale required to scale up to the globe. We need to be able to build blockchains that can handle many more transactions per second, that can handle, that have quick turnarounds, where you submit a transaction and that transaction gets concluded as soon as possible, within a second. And that's what we do with Avalanche.
I absolutely love that you're talking about being inclusive, because a lot of us in the United States, even though we're like, it's terrible here, we complain about it, we're actually very, very, very lucky compared to a lot of other places. And I've always thought that DeFi was a way to kind of level that playing field out and really kind of help people improve their quality of life. I mean, you can stake, you can farm, you can do all these things and earn passive income that could be life-changing for a particular small area globally. Mm-hmm. So my next question is going to be about the new DEX, Pangolin DEX, and I hope I said that correctly. Go ahead and talk to us about why it's important for users.
Absolutely. So in every blockchain, you need to have a means by which people can trade digital assets. And ideally, what you want these platforms to be is they need to be fair, they need to be community owned and community directed, and they need to provide the ability to exchange any asset, to trade any asset across the globe with minimal fuss. And Pangolin is a Uniswap clone. It does exactly what Uniswap does on Ethereum, which is to say that it allows people to put up any asset that they might want to trade up for sale. And it allows people to bring, to essentially do that trade across time. So the one big difference between Pangolin and Uniswap is that Pangolin is community owned and community directed. So I had, for example, absolutely nothing to do with the launch of Pangolin. And it is just essentially something that was launched by people in the Avalanche ecosystem because they believed that such a component was necessary. And separate from many other DEXs, including Uniswap, the coins, the pangolin coins, are not owned by just a few entities. This thing is literally community owned. It's beautiful, it's elegant. I bought in fairly late into Pangolin. I believe in it. It's a wonderful system, and it is also a mainstay and a big part of the coming Avalanche Rush, which is our incentivization program for people to bring in liquidity. So it's a fantastic piece of work. Congrats to the Uniswap team. We also did a big airdrop to Uniswap holders to incentivize them to come over and check out their software on a much better platform, on a much faster platform. So it's this beautiful little thing that allows anybody to trade any digital asset.
So let me get this straight. You actually invested your own money into the project. You were not given coins.
No, I was not given a single coin. Absolutely not. I did it pretty late, actually, too, for at least a month after, maybe a few months after the project launched.
I absolutely love that. I think it's awesome. And it's good for transparency too. So go ahead and talk to us about how the launch of the new Avalanche Ethereum bridge has impacted users, because that sounds pretty game changing.
Yes, that bridge is a completely different technology than what most other people are familiar with. It is based on some revolutionary new technology from Intel, and it's a trustless bridge. It is incredibly cheap to use. That's the way this thing works is essentially, there are multiple different ways you can build bridges, but it all comes down to having a decentralized, trustless core. And getting a trustless execution environment is very, very difficult to do. And our old bridge, as well as the bridges that most other people use, was very expensive because you had to coordinate on-chain to be able to move the funds. So if I wanted to bring funds over from Ethereum, the coordination had to happen on the Ethereum blockchain, where things are very expensive. And in fact, there had to be up to 5 transactions on Ethereum for me to move my assets over, which could cost up to $500 at times. These days, with the new bridge, the cost to move funds is as low as a single Ethereum transaction. You just move your assets to a single address, and magically, the assets that you send to that address appear on the Avalanche chain. It's simple. The UI is beautiful. You see the transactions get confirmed. It's pretty slow on the Ethereum side. It's near instantaneous on the Avalanche side. And we're pretty nice. We ended up funding it with some AVAX so that as you cross over the chain, we also give you a little bit of AVAX tokens so that on the Avalanche side, you have your first couple of transactions subsidized by us, so that you won't get stranded. So once you bring your assets over, you'll be able to perform transactions on the Avalanche side. For example, you can go to Pangolin and put them up as liquidity, or maybe do a swap or whatever.
That's absolutely awesome. But let's talk a little bit about the Avalanche Foundation, because you guys recently announced a $180 million DeFi incentive program. Kind of talk to us about what that encompasses and how it's going to impact the DeFi ecosystem.
That thing is going to be huge. So we did announce a very big incentivization program for liquidity mining on top of Avalanche. And it is the biggest of its kind. So it's literally the largest incentive program in crypto. We are hoping that this is going to attract attention from traders, and it has. And it's going to incentivize people to bring their assets over to Avalanche. That in turn creates a lot of sticky value. It creates a huge group of people who have seen the benefits of a fast consensus protocol. The Avalanche experience, I have to tell you, is incredibly different from what people are used to on Ethereum. You don't have to wait for a spinning little disk. Everything you do is instantaneous. It feels like you're communicating with a regular website, except you're actually doing this worldwide, transaction on a blockchain involving thousands of nodes. So it's a fascinating thing to see. We are hoping that this is going to bring a lot of people over to Avalanche, and they will love their experience and stay. And the bridge is our first step towards this. We took care to make sure that it's a smooth, pleasant experience.
I can very much resonate with the transaction time and the cost on Ethereum. I know there's a website you can go ahead and put in how much you've spent on gas fees in Ethereum. I don't even do it because I'll cringe. I won't do it. And I don't think I can write them off with my taxes either. But anyways, let's switch gears to NFTs. So we all know that NFTs are popping off like crazy. And there's a lot of people that are partnering with different well-known real world companies, sports, esports, etc. Talk to us about the soccer field and Avalanche, and what do you think was the most significant collaboration?
Great question. I've been excited about NFTs for a very long time, and we're only beginning to scratch the surface of what's possible with them. One of our first collaborations was with a company called Tops, headed by Michael Eisner, who used to head Disney, by the way, and they hold a lot of different intellectual properties, the digital rights to a lot of intellectual properties. And we did a trial run with them on one NFT series. But the thing that, because it went so well on the Avalanche platform, we just announced Bundesliga, which is the German soccer league's NFTs are going to be minted and issued on top of Avalanche. I'm delighted by this. I would love to see German soccer fans. I have a love-hate relationship with German soccer. It's fun to watch. It's not fun to be obliterated by German soccer teams, but whichever side you're on, it's a great thing to watch them get digitized and traded across the globe.
You got to do this with boxers too, because if you don't know, I am a boxer, so I do it for mental health and fun. But we got to get some NFTs for some of the kids and myself at the boxing gym I go to. But
let's do that. Let's do that, Wendy.
That would be so cool. We're just starting to teach the kids about NFTs too, and it's so awesome. They range between they're 10 years old to like 21, 22, so it would be awesome. But let's talk a little bit about 2021 and all the craziness that has happened. We know El Salvador has been taking off. They've been in the news. Their president is immensely progressive. But talk to us a little bit about the partnership you guys have with Mexico and what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think this is the year when normies and politicians began to understand the power of blockchains. And I think being shut in and unable to participate in regular markets maybe opened their minds up a little bit. I don't know what happened, but a lot of great things have happened for us as a space, and it's wonderful to see. Specifically for us, we've been partnering with the government of Mexico, and we have a pretty strong presence in Mexico. The government of Quintana Roo has decided to put their laws on the blockchain on using the Avalanche system, and they're also doing some additional things with us. So and in addition, we also ended up NFTizing the Chivas soccer team. I should have mentioned that a second ago. So we have a strong presence down there, and we're very excited about what we're doing with Quintana Roo.
I actually was going to ask about that a little bit. So you guys are talking about utilizing blockchain technology for different things in Mexico, but do you see NFTs as a way to really make things permanent as far as maybe real estate or healthcare records, just kind of getting outside of just blockchain? Because I have a strong healthcare background. I worked in infectious disease for 7 years, and my mind is turning like on how life-changing and how much easier the process would be if you can utilize NFTs for personal records or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. So yes, I should have mentioned what we're doing specifically with Quintana Roo. We're doing, so NFTs in general, people see them as small little pictures that you trade. And then they don't understand, why do you need an NFT for a small little picture? Like, what's the point? I could send you a picture in email. They don't get it. It takes a while to understand. An NFT is really a credential. And one of the things we're doing with Quintana Roo is putting vaccine records on the Avalanche chain. And that allows you to have a vaccine passport, if you will, that is secure, that one cannot simply, just edit a PDF and create a different vaccine passport themselves. Likewise, these non-fungible goods like houses, real estate of all kinds, as well as any other ISAs, income sharing agreements, right? So you're a budding boxer, and you're going to have a great career ahead of you. Digitize your future income and collect some money up front to get launched off the ground. But you end up having to pay in the future. But that's a reasonable trade-off for some people, and it should be possible. So these kinds of assets, I would love to see in NFT form, and I know that I myself would love to invest in a wide variety of things. And what are my other options? Am I going to put my money in Facebook and hope that, you know, it goes up from wherever it is? That's just, those things are all overinflated, and the world needs other sources of income from different, more interesting alternative digital assets. And that's really the vision behind Avalanche. We came into this not wanting to compete with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is competing with the dollar, it's competing with the euro. That's not what we're going after. We're trying to digitize everything else. There's $72 trillion worth of assets out there. I want to see all of them on a blockchain on top of Avalanche.
I'm here for that. But you guys have had a very, very impressive year. I actually learned a lot about the project during my streams. People are like, can you cover Avalanche? Cover Avalanche? I'm like, no. And I didn't want to tell them I was having you on. It's like, I'm going to ask all my questions here. But the first major update that Avalanche had was Apricot. What can we expect from that network in the future?
Sure. So the Apricot update is just concluding. It's about to, the last phase is about to launch very, very soon. And the point of Apricot was to essentially change and make dynamic a couple of the things that we had to build into the code statically, that we had to bake into the code when we launched as quickly as we did. One of these things are the fees. So one of the main things that we can expect from Apricot is a brand new fee structure. So that fee structure allows the fees to be predictable and very, very low. So what does that mean? In every other chain, the underlying chain itself is limited in scale, in how many transactions it can clear. And there is a bidding aspect to the fees. So what happens is the chain quickly runs out of space. And so the transactions that you and I want to submit, we need to outbid other people. Especially, for example, in the case of Ethereum, we have to outbid people with these robots that are putting in immense sums of money into the system. And we get priced out. And you get this hockey stick effect. And we also have this problem on these chains where you don't know if your transaction has been accepted or not. Did you pay enough for your fee? Well, we don't know. And it might take such a long time, it might get dropped, etc. So this makes the user experience absolutely abysmal. In contrast, with Apricot, the latest phase, we end up getting dynamic fees. What dynamic fees gives us is an ability to predict what the fee ought to be and a guarantee from the system that if you submit with that fee, it's going to be accepted. So this is a pretty nice, different kind of a universe. The fees are no longer subject to some kind of an auction, but instead, what they are is as long as the system is operating at a particular rate, the fees are predictable. Sorry, I shouldn't say this. The fees are predictable no matter what, and they are computed off of the speed with which the blockchain is being extended. If the chain is not being used, the fees quickly go down to zero, and as the chain is being used a lot, then the fees go up so as to push back on the load. And the nicest thing about the fees in Avalanche are that they are burned. They don't go into the hands of some miner. They don't get recirculated into the system. They just disappear. And that way they benefit every single Avalanche coin holder.
Awesome. Lastly, what about your guys' mobile wallet? When is that going to be integrated into the network?
I cannot wait for the mobile wallet myself. I was, I think, one of the first people who used Avalanche to buy some medicine off of a friend of mine in the very, very early days, and it was really hard to use with my phone and his phone and lining and so forth. So we were expecting Q4 for the mobile wallet. I've seen the sort of the rough drafts of the user flow, and it looks fantastic and smooth. And I cannot wait for a smoother experience on mobile. You could use the current Avalanche wallet right now, but it's not mobile native. So the new mobile wallet to come in Q4 of this year, I am really excited about. It should make it a breeze to pay for things with Avalanche. It should be faster to pay for things with Avalanche than to use a credit card. That's my goal.
That is outstanding. Before we go, do you have anything else you want to leave the audience with? Maybe some special alpha, some announcements, anything like that?
I can't leak alpha, so that's something I can't do.
I do have to ask, though. That's my job.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. It's fair if it's a fair question. So maybe I have some advice as an ex-professor of sorts. So there are a lot of people in this game who are excited about all sorts of things. I know that you have a great audience. I know that you have a very large number of female users of blockchains in the audience. That is fantastic to see, by the way. Which, by the way, that's a different discussion. But most of household spending decisions are made by women. So it's a surprise to me that women have been kept out of this burgeoning field for so long, and that's something we definitely have to fix. But I do know that you have a young audience. So to them, I would say the following. It's really, really fun to play with coins. It's really, really fun to speculate on coins. But I really would urge them to look beyond just speculation and use these systems for what they're actually intended for. And that DeFi is really an amazing field. The returns that are possible are legitimate gains based on the activities, the financial activities of other players in the system. And they're just fantastic to see. And it's something that everyone should get to experience firsthand. By making it cheap to use, by making it easy to use, I hope that we'll get some people to test DeFi out on Avalanche. And I hope that people will go beyond just speculation and use this technology, because it can be life-changing when used appropriately.
Amazing. Thank you so much, man. You guys, all the links will be down below, so you can go ahead and learn more about Avalanche. As always, don't just eat into something. Make sure you understand what it is, understand the importance, make sure it resonates with you. Thank you so much.